Today we're going to be unboxing the Para USA P18-9. Para used to be a company based out of Canada, and a long time ago they ended up moving to the USA or being bought out by somebody in the US. And so they moved some manufacturing down here. These are 2011s, or whatever you want to call them, extended capacity 1911s. That's essentially what these are. Before 2011s became as big as they are today, this is one of the options you had back then. So up top, you are going to get a manual, and it's a pretty nice manual. It's got very high-res pictures in here, red warnings, and some graphical representations on how to change out your fiber optic. And in the back is going to be an exploded parts view, as well as a parts list. And that's going to be for the single stack 1911s they make and the high capacity like this one. And here's what we're looking at today. You're also going to get a side adjustment tool and a few extra pieces of fiber optic. You're going to have a green and a red one included in this bag. And there's the side adjustment tool. Here's a ad kind of talking about the Para Pro Shop, their accessory website, as well as a warning card and congratulations card on owning one of their 1911s. Up top here is going to be a green cable lock with Para branding on the lock itself, as well as a 1911 bushing tool for removing your sliding barrel. In the box, there's going to be 2 magazines. Both of these magazines are 18 round magazines. And as you can see there, these 2 mags were made in Canada. These are going to be unfinished, just raw steel. Feature black followers, as well as Para branded base plates. All right, let's get everything out of the way, and then we'll start going to the features of the P18-9 by Para USA. All right, got everything out of the way. So this particular one is being borrowed from a friend, and as you can tell, he is taking very good care of it. Not a whole lot of signs of wear and tear on this. So like I said, essentially what these are high capacity or double stack 1911s. Pretty much the top end is going to be a 1911 and the bottom end is going to be a modified frame to fit those wider magazines. So because of the age of these, and that I doubt that they're even being manufactured anymore, it was really hard to find materials and finishes and just barely any information on their 2011s or high cap 1911s, but I'm going to do my best to kind of explain everything in detail. So the barrel here is going to be a polished steel barrel, 5 inches, and it's going to have your standard 1911 barrel and bushing. Like I said, this is polished on the barrel, and then the slide, also constructed of steel, is going to have a satin finish on the top side, bottom side, but then the side right here is going to be polished. So it very much matches the barrel as far as on the polished side. And then inside of the serrations on the slide are also going to feature that satin finish you see on the top and bottom. So it does have slide serrations in the rear. And I will say the slide to frame fit is very nice, very smooth. It's not the smoothest as far as 1911s or 2011s that I've felt, but very comparable to some of the higher end models. So your sights, the front sight is going to be dovetailed into the slide, and that's going to have your fiber optic on there. The rear sight is also dovetailed into the slide. However, this is a fully adjustable for windage and elevation sight. It's going to have serrations on the back side to cut down on glare, and just a U-notch in the rear. There's kind of your sight picture there. So the frame, these are going to be constructed of full steel. So like your Staccato 1911s, how you have a steel upper and then a polymer lower, this one is different in that the entire thing is constructed of steel. It's not the greatest as far as finish goes. However, the weight, it feels great in the hand. And I imagine it's going to translate a lot whenever I take this out to the range in this video. But yeah, the finish is not overall great. It seems like maybe it needed a little bit more machining time, but you can see some pitting in the steel there. But overall, it feels really good in the hand. And the frame is going to feature that same satin finish that you saw on top of the slide here. You're going to have some checkering on the front side of the grip, as well as on the mainspring housing. but the mainspring housing is going to be constructed of polymer. Your grip panels, on their website, they say they're made of hardwood. However, the ones on this particular model are constructed of polymer. And it also comes with satin finished steel screws to hold those grip panels in place. The magazine well is not even slightly, maybe a little bit, but barely at all flared. However, those magazines do feed quite well because of that reduced size on the top. So you kind of you have a whole lot of room as far as angle, and it just kind of guides you into place like that. And they do drop free. So your controls, standard 1911 controls here. You're gonna have a manual safety right here, non-ambi. You're gonna have your slide stop, slide release right there, which also doubles as your takedown lever. Your hammer in the rear is going to be polished, and the trigger is going to be black and skeletonized with some vertical serrations on the front side. And then you're also going to have some texturing on top of the manual safety there. Your grip safety, same exact finish that we saw on the frame. A little bit of pitting, seems like it needs a little bit of finishing work, and it's not the tightest fit, but it works nonetheless as far as grip safeties go. And the grip safety does have a full beaver tail or tang in the rear. So your overall height is going to be 5.36 inches. Overall width is 1.48 inches. And your overall length from tip of the barrel to the back right here on the grip safety is going to be 8.75 inches. Your unloaded weight is 1,102 grams or 2 pounds, 6.9 ounces. So, like I said, full steel frame, full slide, everything is steel in this entire thing. So it is quite heavy in the hand. Let's go ahead and take this out to the range and give it some test fire shots and put it through some paces and see how accurate it is. And I will be back to give you guys my final thoughts and opinions on the Para USA P18-9. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the shooting footage of the Para USA P18.9. As you could tell in that shooting footage, I did have a malfunction towards the end of me shooting it. And that issue was related to, so there was a magazine inserted with 1 round left in the magazine. I had shot that round, and somehow that piece of brass was lodged between the feed lips on the magazine and this front side of the slide. So the slide was, let me see if I can get this right. Slide was slightly to the rear, and it was kind of lodged in. And what that was also doing was applying pressure down on the magazine. So I could not get, you can see here, I'll pull down on the magazine to kind of demonstrate what was happening. So the magazine was lodged, and I could not get the magazine to come out. The button was pretty much frozen up because of how much pressure was being applied down on the magazine. So that was the only issue I ran into while shooting this. It basically caused me to go inside, go get a screwdriver, see if I can lodge the brass out, and then I was able to get the magazine out and continue my range footage. That was the one issue I had. So I've shot in a few other 2011s before. I've used the Platypus, the Staccatos. I've handled the John Wick 2011. I've not shot that, but as far as comparing this to the ones that I've shot, and if I had to say, you know, which one would I choose, one of those three, the Staccato, Platypus, or the P18.9, I definitely would choose the Platypus. One thing I don't really like here, of course, I mentioned that during the unboxing, but the finish on the frame, definitely some pitting here. You can see that all along the side here. And the radiuses aren't perfect. Definitely seems like this was hand finished as opposed to machine finished like the Platypus. But as far as shootability, it runs pretty much like any other 2011 I've shot before. Over 1911, I love the steel frame. It really keeps the gun on target. Not much felt recoil or even recoil at all. A lot of that is soaked up via the metal frame. And as far as cleanliness goes, like any other gun you shoot at the range, of course, it's going to get a little bit of carbon buildup and not much here. There's a little bit inside of the slide, but yeah, this will all clean up very nicely. Nothing really seems like it's wearing too quickly or binding up excessively. Everything seems to function pretty well. So knocking it for that one issue that I had, there's definitely some positives here. I do like the sight picture that you get with this and how adjustable these sights are. And I do like the fact that this is all metal. So comparing this to the Staccato, which does have a polymer bottom and a steel frame on the top, this definitely feels more rigid. All right, that's pretty much it. If you guys got any questions, I can definitely chime in the comment section as far as this goes. I don't think that these are being made anymore. I'm not sure that I would fully recommend it as far as the price point is and the other options that you have out there. And like I said, if you guys got any questions, let me know down in the comments and I'll do my best to get back with you. Thank y'all for watching.